What's up, guys? Bones from Slasher Radio here, and it looks like we might have some hints on who will be crafting the highly anticipated new Friday the 13th game that was announced earlier this year. We're going to break down who it isn't, who it could be, and who it most likely is, and everything behind it. So if you're a Friday the 13th fan, slash those like and subscribe buttons, and let's get into it. Back in June at the San Diego Comic-Con, Robbie Barsimian, the EVP over at Horror Inc. and Jason Universe, confirmed a new Friday the 13th movie and game are currently in the works.
I can tell you that a new sequel movie, a new sequel game are at the top of our list. It's where most of our energy is going right now. And I can tell you finally we're in a position to deliver on that. And so while we're not officially announcing with our partners today, both are coming, so they're both in the works.
We'll have another video out soon with some hints that we might have on the new movie, but for now we're going to do some digging on the new game and see if we can figure out which company is going to be making it. We're going to break these studios down by who it's not, the maybes, and save the most likely for last, so make sure you stick around to the end. First, let's go over who it's not and why. I hope I'm wrong in saying this, but I feel like it's pretty safe to assume that Gunn is not involved with the new Jason game. Given the size of the studio that Gunn is, and them being involved in the Halloween game alongside Illfonic, and I know another IP game that Gunn has been working on, which I'm not going to talk about publicly, but I highly doubt that Gunn would be able to renew the rights for Jason and Friday the 13th while involved with multiple other projects. And it just unfortunately seems like they've moved on, and the great Friday the 13th game that they've created will just have to remain a memory. But we'll get back into Gunn a little later and go over the small chance for another Gunn Interactive Friday the 13th game. There's also been a lot of talk of Illfonic being involved in this, but I personally don't think that's the case. Illfonic seems to be all in on the upcoming Halloween game, and they're still very active with Predator Hunting Ground, which is a great game, by the way, and everyone needs to go give it a chance if they haven't already. And even still putting work into Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And Illfonic has only recently discontinued future DLC for Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. So given their workload, especially on a huge project like Halloween, it should be safe to say that Illfonic is also out. Saber Interactive is another company that seems to be unlikely. Saber was behind the Evil Dead game and also has the upcoming Hellraiser Revival game, which they are still polishing and seem to be all in on. So much so that they are already hoping for a Hellraiser Revival 2, as we learned in our exclusive interview with Saber's CCO, Tim Willits.
To get success, I want to, it'd be great to make another one. We just have to see, same with DLC, we just have to see. But currently the team is just, focusing on making the best experience they can. And we just hope that people love it and it works. And if it resonates, let's keep rocking and rolling. But we just have to get the main game done and people have to like it.
You can check that full interview out on this channel, by the way. It was a great discussion with so much information on the upcoming Cenobite game that you won't hear anywhere else. Another big project that Saber is still working on, something I feel like a lot of people have forgotten about, is Jurassic Park Survival. So with both of these high-level IP projects actively being worked on, Saber Interactive also seems to be out. Boss Team Games is another studio I've seen thrown around a lot due to their involvement with big horror IP games in the past. They worked on Evil Dead the game alongside Saber Interactive, and they've teamed up once again for Hellraiser Revival. So Boss Team also has a big project still currently being worked on that they're all hands on deck with. Also, as we were first to report back in June, Boss Team was removed from the Halloween game and replaced with Gunn. Our sources said it was caused by something negative between Boss Team and the Halloween rights holders. Could that affect their chances of landing a development spot in the new Friday the 13th game? Let us know what you think in the comments, but for me, it's enough to say Boss Team also out. Okay, Now let's get into the maybes, and let's start off with a studio that is actually very likely and no one seems to be talking about it, and that's Warner Bros Games. Warner Bros Games is both a publisher and a developer. Developer mostly through dev studios that are owned by Warner Bros. Like NetherRealm Studios and Rocksteady Studios. Is the studio behind games like Hogwarts Legacy, Mortal Kombat, the Batman Arkham series, the Lego series, the Injustice games, and the recent Multiverses game, which, don't forget, was the return of Jason Voorhees to gaming. So not only does Warner Bros. Have the size and experience needed to handle a high-level project like this, they also own New Line Cinema, which means Warner Bros. Owns parts of the Jason and Friday the 13th rights, which is a huge plus in this scenario. They own the title Friday the 13th, which Jason Universe, Horror Inc., Sean Cunningham, and Victor Miller do not. So in a world where Warner Bros. Is making the new Jason game, it would be the easiest road to the most complete Friday the 13th game for both older and newer fans. Next for the maybe list would be Supermassive Games. There is no question that Supermassive is more than capable of handling a project like Friday the 13th. But the one huge question mark that also hangs over this upcoming game that we haven't talked about yet in this video is we have no idea if this new Friday the 13th game will be an asymmetrical multiplayer or a single player. And if Jason Universe's vision for this new game is a single player story mode, Supermassive would undoubtedly be the best possible studio. Whether you want to start with Pamela Voorhees or make a whole new movie-style storyline starting with Jason, there is so much meat on the bone for an incredible immersive experience, and no one is better at that than Supermassive. And there is absolutely a huge base that wants the new F-13 game to be single-player story. Okay, now for the most probable team currently working on the new Friday the 13th game. Blumhouse Games. Now I'll admit, there could still be some problems with this, but I feel like this is the most likely. Jason Blum, the owner of Blumhouse, has made it very clear for years that he wants Blumhouse to be the new home for Friday the 13th films. He even brought it up again recently, stating that Jason and Freddy are the white whales for him and Blumhouse.
Oh my God, the imposter syndrome was hot that day. Because I mean, come on. I mean, first of all, you have a guy like Jason Blum who just flat out said it over the last week that like
several times, yeah.
He I know he's always wanted it, but you
Right.
know now he just made it very clear. Freddie and Jason are the white whales. You know,
I feel like there's a 99% chance Blumhouse will be the studio making the new Friday the 13th movie. So what better of an opportunity for Jason Blum would it be to capitalize on something he's wanted so badly for so long than to be the guy behind the movie and the game? And Blumhouse Games is also fairly new to the gaming world, really coming into the public eye just earlier this year. So a Friday the 13th game would be the perfect way to solidify Blumhouse Games in the gaming world immediately. Also, let's take a quick look at the Jason Universe Twitter account. Other than news and media outlets, Jason Universe does not follow many pages, and the ones they do follow, they collaborate with. First, oh, that's us. Chalk that up to a news media outlet. Next is Action Hank Beard, who is a character designer, and honestly, I don't know what that is, so we'll just skip over it for now. The Vamp account has created clips for Jason Universe branding in the past. U2's has collaborated with Jason Universe for 2 different U2's designs already. Voodoo Donuts was behind the Jason Universe themed donuts for Universal's Halloween Horror Nights this year. Tom Savini is of course the iconic effects artist who worked on the early Friday the 13th films. Spirit Halloween has been selling a bunch of new Jason Universe and Friday the 13th merch in the 2025 Halloween season. NECA has collaborated with Friday the 13th many times in the past, and even most recently did the new Savini Jason figure. Mondo News has worked with Jason Universe for exclusive collectibles and promotional stuff, including merch for the San Diego Comic-Con in June. I think you guys get the idea. But if we scroll down enough, you'll see Jason Universe follows Blumhouse. They also follow A24, and A24 is behind the upcoming Crystal Lake series. So them following Blumhouse shows some connection there, most likely for a new film. It's also worth noting that there were Blumhouse reps present at the San Diego Comic-Con when the new movie and game were confirmed to be in the works. But if you scroll back up a bit, you'll see they later followed Blumhouse Games, and this is very interesting. Now I know what you guys are thinking. They're also following Gun and Gun's Friday the 13th the game page. I reached out to a source I have earlier this year when I first noticed this, and without getting into too much detail, it wasn't a positive response for their involvement in a new game. But this was a very loose conversation and does not at all mean things haven't changed or the answer just flat out wasn't true. But we did see Friday the 13th game merch in Spirit Halloween this year, and even with the Savini Jason figure for NECA. So this very much could have been as far as the collaboration with Gunn went. But what other reason would they have to collab with Blumhouse Games other than them being involved in the new game? Blumhouse Games is a publisher, not direct developers. They have worked with small studios like Cozy Game Pals, Eyes Out, Perfect Garbage, and a bunch more, including Gambrinus, who is the studio developing Eyes of Hellfire, which is the only multiplayer game on Blumhouse Games' roster. So could this mean that if Blumhouse is behind the new Friday the 13th game, it would be a single player or co-op story game? Or would Blumhouse be willing to go balls to the wall and throw a bunch of money into this to live up to Gunn's Friday the 13th game? Because remember, Blumhouse Games being used to working with low-budget indie horror games doesn't mean they play by the same rules as other indie game publishers. Blumhouse has been no stranger to throwing movie budgets of $30 million to movies like The Exorcist Believer, Megan 2.0, and even a $50 million budget to the upcoming Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie. So when it comes down to finding the money to get it done, Blumhouse would by far be in the lead. And who knows, Gunn is also a publisher and has been known to be very involved in the development and design of their games as well. Could the perfect situation for a new Friday the 13th game be Blumhouse Games and Gunn both co-publishing a new F-13 game alongside a capable development studio? Could Gunn's track record with big horror IP games and proven, and still very desired, history with Friday the 13th be a way to make up for Blumhouse Games' lack of experience with bigger gaming projects? These companies could complement each other's weaknesses perfectly and create a perfect storm for a perfect Friday the 13th game. Gunn is already the co-publisher for the upcoming Halloween game. Could this situation free them up enough to co-publish another game and it be Friday the 13th? Now it's time to hear what you guys think. Slash those like and subscribe buttons and get in the comments and let us know what you think of all this. Who do you want to see creating the new Friday the 13th game? Is there anyone we missed? What do you want the new F-13 game to look like? Single player or multiplayer ASIM? We want to know everything you guys think, and we'll catch you on the next video. Good night from Slasher Radio.